Hello, my name is Anya, and today we are going to use components and bottom sheets to allow the user to save a value into the database. That I can click and unclick. If we look at my database over here, I have a name and then a completed, which is a boolean, a yes or a no, a true or false value. I already have a video covering how to make this. I'll link this in the description box below. But in this one, we're adding on top of it and giving the user the ability to add a task to this list. In order for them to be able to add a task, I want to first have a plus button over here. I'm going to make it our white color so we can see it against the background, and then also give it some padding so it's not smushed right over there. Now I need this to open some sort of dialog where they can then type in the name of the task. There are multiple ways to do this, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a component. I'm going to click this over here. It says new component, and I'm just going to create a blank component called add task. From here, we can change the size of the component. I'm just going to make it a rectangle like this. And building on it is similar to building on a page. I'm going to add a child to it. We can give it some text. I also want a text field for the user to be able to type into, and then probably a button for them to submit. Instead of label here, this should say task name. Instead of hello world, we want this to say add a task, and the button should read create. Create. I want these spaced out a little better, so I'm going to choose this space evenly. Makes it look a lot nicer. And now that the UI is ready, let's configure the logic behind this. I'm going to actually open up the action flow editor. When the user types in the name of the task and then clicks create, we want to create a new task, which, if you remember, is stored in the database. So we want to go down here to backend database, Firestore, and then click create document. We are going to do this into the tasks collection. Now my task has two fields, name and completed. Right now we've added a text input for them to add the name. So instead of a static value, we want this from variable, and we can find our text field over here under widget state. But now there's also completed. Most likely they will always want it to be false by default, but just to show you how you would do it, I'm going to also give them the option to configure whether this task that they add is completed or not from the get-go. I want a little checkbox right next to this text field, so I'm going to wrap this in a row. I'm going to add in a toggle icon, and let's wrap our toggle icon in a row. Then we can drag this text field, put it in our row as well. I want the toggle icon on the left, and I'm just going to drag the row back in the middle. Now, for them to be able to toggle between yes or no, we need to somehow store this value and configure the toggle value to be changing something. But given that they haven't created a task yet, we have to get a bit creative. What we're going to do is we're going to use a local component state variable. This is a temporary variable that they store on the page, and it'll allow the user to toggle through. Now on our toggle icon, we're going to set the value to our completed. If we go back to create, under completed, instead of a specific value, we can now set it equal to our completed component state. Now that we've got this configured, let's add it to our page. On my icon button, I'm going to add an action, and this is going to be to show a bottom sheet. A bottom sheet is just going to come up over here, and it's going to be our component add task. I'm going to give it a height of 250, otherwise it just randomly does a height, and I want it to have just a white background. And let's see how this looks. I'm going to go to our testing environment and reload. This will take a second. And we can click our plus sign over here. It opens up a bottom sheet. I can add a task, walk the cat, and let's make it checked by default. I can click create, and we see walk the cat over here, and it's checked. But this is still there, and it still reads walk the cat, and I don't know how to get back without having to click, which is not the best UI. So let's go back to our component, and on this create button, I want to add another action. And this action is going to be to dismiss the bottom sheet. This is a bottom sheet. By clicking dismiss, it's just going to hide that. Let's try this. I'm going to click create new. This one's going to be wash the pavement. Click create. I don't think it loaded. Sometimes Flutterflow has issues with syncing. Now we can try again. Wash the car, click create, and it goes away, and it's looking really nice. So thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful. The same idea of a bottom sheet can be used for so many different things, and I hope this was helpful.